Hello, it's Ed. Welcome to the studio, and this is actually the third time that I have recorded this intro. Why am I telling you that? Well, because it's relevant. Basically, I was going to talk today about image quality and size. What I tried to do was show how image quality had improved in video by using an old video camera to record this introduction. I tried on a VHS camera. It failed. I tried on a DV camera, it failed. And the reason was not because of those cameras, it was because of a lack of backwards compatibility. It got me thinking, is backwards compatibility really what we need? Over 2023, I went back to shooting film and scanning film. And one of the first things I found was that it was really hard to scan that film because the scanner that I had was no longer supported, and I had to use an old computer to try and drag those images off. Modern technology is usually not backwards compatible, and although there are usually workarounds, it requires a lot of time, thinking and expense to do that, more than most people are prepared to put in, certainly more than I was prepared to put in for this video, to actually get anything usable out of it. Backwards compatibility, it sounds like a great thing, but it isn't. It's good to have an end result, something that you feel is where something should be. What I'm kind of saying is be a finisher. Don't take a photograph thinking I've got a negative and I can do things with it later. Create the image that you wanted to create, print that image and keep it, and that is the piece of art. Somebody can look at that print, if it survives fire, flood, etc., in 1,000 years' time, and it will still be visible. I don't need to find some piece of technology to allow me to view it. Now, when I started out, I actually used to deliberately destroy my digital negatives, not to save space on hard drives, although that was an issue back in the day. But the reason was because I didn't want myself or anybody else to be able to change what I'd seen as my artistic vision. It was fixed. I decided this was the best it was ever going to be, and this is what I meant it to be, this is what I intended. And I wasn't going to let my future self ruin it by being able to go and tinker. Director's cuts in cinema, all this sort of stuff had taught me that usually the original was the best. I look back now and I think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I could look at those negatives and I could do so much more with them. With the modern technology, I could make them better. I could do a better job. But that's what past me was trying to stop. Another YouTuber was talking the other week about re-editing their negatives. They keep their digital files because when their style changes, they want to take their old images and reprocess them for their new look. Backwards compatibility, be a finisher. Be a finisher. Get a project done like the 24 project that I did before. Maybe the end result wasn't that great, but it's finished, it's done, and I can move on. I can do something new, different and better. And that's what we should be striving to do. We do the best we can with what we've got. We move on, we do something else. And that's kind of my philosophy. Don't keep reworking the same thing, trying to polish it, trying to make it something that it never was. Right, that said, let us have a quick look at image quality, because I wanted to talk to you about how image sizes had changed over the years and whether it mattered. So that was going to be the original point of this video, and I am determined to finish doing that. So let us look at some images from a digital camera of the 2000s and a digital camera of the modern day. I'm going to process the negatives the same way so we can look at the difference in image quality.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is, in the background, the full-size image from the 1DX2. In front of it, the full-size image from the 20D. So you can see the difference in resolution. Obviously, you're looking at this at 1080p resolution on your screen because that's what I'm uploading this video in 1080p. So it's just for reference. But if I show you 100% crop of each image, you'll be able to get an idea of how much detail there is in each of those images. And I think you'll agree that there's enough detail even in that 20D image to work perfectly well on screen or as a print. If we go back to that image of the two frames put together, the white frame around them is the equivalent of a 20 by 16 frame, which is pretty much the maximum size you would get for a print, a photographic print in a gallery, I think. So you can see that the 20D image might look small at that size, although this is at 300 dpi. So you could actually probably print at this gallery size, assuming that people aren't going to stand as close as they would to a magazine article. Suffice to say, I think there is plenty of resolution in both those images, far more than you would actually need for most day-to-day uses. And these images are most likely to be consumed online, either on a website gallery or even more often on Instagram. Now, I have to say, I don't think Instagram suits images with lots of detail in, like this Barcelona landscape, because it is displayed so small. But there's certainly enough data in these images for them to both work absolutely fine, downsampled to Instagram specifications. And I think if you look at the colour rendition and the tones in these images, there is a perfectly acceptable dynamic range and colour rendition. So I would go so far as to say I'm as happy with the 20D image from 2004 as I am with the 1DX2 image. That's not to say I wouldn't rather have the 1DX2 camera, because it has lots of other things that it can do. But if we're talking about the actual image that it's possible to get out of the cameras, then give each good conditions and you can get a good result from either.
So what do you think? I'd really be interested to hear. I don't want to go into this in huge amounts of detail because there are so many YouTubers talking about this is the gear you need or you don't need the gear. It's a thing, and I don't want to just do that. Hopefully this video has just given you a little bit of an idea about how things have changed over the years. So if you look at the pictures that I was originally taking, I was taking pictures that were probably 5 megapixel. Now I'm taking pictures that are probably 20 megapixels. But what you're seeing on your screens is the same. And very few of my pictures are able to be seen in a gallery, so it won't really matter. If I print my pictures, I'm usually printing them at a maximum of 18 by 12. And usually that's overkill. That's my archive. If I produce a book of images, it's either a small pocket book, in which case the pictures are probably 6 by 4, or if it's a coffee table book, it's probably 8 by 10 at the maximum. So really, do I need anything more than that? And also bear in mind that apparently the resolution of the human eye, and I'm talking about the fovea, the central bit that you actually look with, is only about 7 megapixels. I've read stuff that says you'd have to have a 256 megapixel camera to reproduce what the eye sees, but that's all this outside bit that you don't actually use. The bit that you're looking at, 7 megapixels. So basically, I would say in that case, if you've got a 7 megapixel image, that's as far as you need to go. Obviously, you can bring things further away and closer. So your 7 megapixel sensor in your eye is seeing things closer and further away. So it's not that simple. But if you've got something at a normal viewing distance, 7 megapixels, taking up that field of view, that is what you need. That is all that you need. It's nice to have more. I like to be able to crop. I like to have the freedom, but you don't need any more than that, I would say. But I am not a colour scientist, I'm not an optics expert, I'm a photographer, and I'm just trying to find my way through this in the same way as probably you are. Okay, so there you go, a bit of a long rambly video, but hopefully you took something out of it. The one thing I would like you to take out of it is be a finisher. Finish what you started and have an end point. Don't keep coming back to it. That's it for this week. Thanks again so much for your company. I really do appreciate you taking an interest and leaving a comment, good or bad, in the comment section. That really does help me out, as does subscribing, liking, sharing, all that sort of stuff, which helps me keep going. Until we meet again, have a fantastic week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.